every time she gets a chance. My daughter-in-law, Jasmine, treats me like a poor old woman living off a pension. I came all this way to visit, and this is what I get. Such a shabby place, so disappointing. Well, I guess this is what you get on a pension. I can take whatever is said about me, but I can't stand it when someone insults this shop. My name is Susan. At 65, I'm still quite active for my age. My husband John passed away 3 years ago at the age of 70. He fought hard against liver disease, but sadly couldn't beat it. John was a craftsman and fought bravely without much complaint until the end. He was 8 years older than me, and I had always been prepared for the possibility that he might pass away before me. However, his death came sooner than I expected. For a while, I was like a shell of my former self, but thanks to friends and neighbors, I gradually regained my spirit. Now I'm enjoying my time alone, attending career classes, a hobby of mine from way back, and going to the theater with friends. Another significant event happened after John passed and things settled down. My eldest son, Louis, got married. I thought it would be something to cheer me up. John and I had 2 children. Our eldest, Louis, is now 37 years old and works as an IT engineer. He's freelancing now, mainly working from home, and apparently he's earning more than he did as a salaried employee. Teresa, our daughter and Louis' sister, is currently on an overseas assignment. She hardly ever gets to come back home. Louis finally married in his mid-30s, but for Teresa, it seems her job comes first, and marriage seems far off for her. Speaking of putting the job first, that's Louis's wife, Jasmine. Jasmine is 9 years younger than Louis, currently 28 years old, an even larger gap than between John and me. I first met Jasmine 2 years ago when Louis said, "I've decided to marry this person," and brought Jasmine to our house. Louis was attracted to the hardworking Jasmine, and surprisingly, it was Jasmine who strongly desired to marry. She was a slender beauty in a well-tailored suit from a high-end brand, the epitome of a career woman, just like those seen in TV dramas. She exuded an aura of competence, and her views expressed during our family meetings were quite modern. We want to be a couple who respect each other's independence and freedom. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I'll give up on advancing my career. I'll work hard. I think we probably won't have children, she said. According to Jasmine, raising children is a hindrance to career advancement. She wants to earn her own money and enjoy freedom without being tied down by family life even after marriage. However, I was somewhat taken aback by what Jasmine said next. Living on a pension really seems like living in poverty, doesn't it? Money is really important. I have to work hard and earn. Living in poverty? I don't know what kind of lavish lifestyle the career woman Jasmine dreams of, but it's none of her business. I'm quite satisfied with my current life, which suits my means. Even the usually calm Louis had to gently chide her, "Hey, Jasmine, don't say things like that." It was a worrying first encounter with Jasmine. The first Christmas after Louis and Jasmine got married, they came to visit my house. Maybe because of her busy job, as soon as Jasmine arrived. "Oh, I'm so tired," Jasmine said as she sat on the sofa and didn't move. Even on Christmas, she seemed preoccupied with work, constantly staring at her mobile phone and tablet, never leaving the sofa. "Louis, I want some coffee." "Louis, I'm a bit hungry. Bring me some snacks," she ordered from the sofa. Louis dutifully brought her coffee and snacks. It's good that she's dedicated to her work, but as a mother, it pains me to see my son so casually used by Jasmine. Moreover, during their stay, Jasmine never once helped in the kitchen. It was always Louis who helped with meal preparations and washing up. Quietly, I asked Louis, who was helping me with the dishes, "Hey, Louis, doesn't Jasmine do any housework?" "Well, I'm mostly working from home as a freelancer, so I usually handle the housework." Jasmine has a commute and often comes home late. Plus, she travels a lot for work, so she's not home much. There's not much to do in terms of housework anyway. It's different from our time. Besides, Jasmine's been given more responsible work lately, so she's busy. You know, we're an independent couple. Jasmine likes to manage her own stuff, though I mostly take care of the house. Well, if you're okay with it, I won't interfere. Jasmine can be a bit harsh in her way of speaking, but think of it as her fighting through the tough world of work. Please be a bit more understanding, Mom, Louis said, always mild-mannered. Since then, only Louis has come home for summer vacations and Christmas. Jasmine's too busy with work to come. He always says Jasmine has a lot of business trips and often works on weekends. Recently, she's hardly ever at home. For me, having some reservations about Jasmine, it's admittedly easier when Louis comes alone. Every time Louis came back home, I noticed he seemed a bit more worn, which concerned me. Then as summer reached its peak, I received a call from Louis. Hello. This summer break, Jasmine and I will come to visit for the first time in a while. Is that so? It's been a long time since both of you visited together. Yeah, looking forward to it, Mom. I felt relieved hearing Louis's cheerful voice. When the summer break came, Louis and Jasmine returned home. This year's summer was reportedly the hottest on record. Our air conditioner at home was running nonstop, but due to its age, it wasn't cooling very well. Well, I'm home, Louis said. Hello there, Jasmine exclaimed as soon as she entered our house. It's so hot, Susan. Is the air conditioner even working? Hey, Louis, lower the temperature. She went straight to the sofa and, as usual, began giving Louis casual orders. It's still hot. Is this air conditioner broken? But I guess you can't afford a new one on a pension. Louis, a hand fan, please. I had a bad feeling that Jasmine seemed even more overbearing than before. Also, compared to when I first met her, her makeup and clothing seemed flashier. I'm going to say hello to Dad, Louis said as he went to greet John's photograph. When I returned with coffee for the two of them, I found Louis in front of the photo, but Jasmine was not there. She was still confidently sitting on the sofa, legs crossed, fiddling with her mobile phone. She drank the cold coffee I made without even a word of thanks. I didn't want to nag Jasmine, but even I couldn't hold back this time. Can't you put the phone away just for now? I asked. Jasmine replied, I have important work responsibilities, Susan. Living on a pension, you wouldn't understand. What does living on a pension have to do with this? I wanted to say something back to Jasmine, but she spoke up again. The reason Susan can live on a pension is because of the money we work hard to earn. So as someone who works hard every day, I don't have to move in front of people living on pensions. Really? Such excuses? Is this what being weathered by the rough seas of society does to a person? I felt bad for Louis, but I didn't want Jasmine to come over anymore. Knowing she wouldn't help in the kitchen, I made a dinner reservation at a restaurant that holds special memories for our family. It's not the most elegant establishment, but the food is exquisite. When it was time, Louis, Jasmine, and I headed to the restaurant. Upon arrival, we were guided to a private room that had been prepared for us. Ah, I'm going to say hello to Chef Brown. It's been a while since we've been here, Louis said before entering the private room, leaving me alone with Jasmine. Just the two of us. I felt uncomfortable and uneasy. Jasmine, as usual, was busy with her mobile phone. Just as I thought I should start a conversation, Jasmine spoke first. I came all this way to visit, and this is the place. Kind of disappointing. Oh, why? The food hasn't even been served yet. This restaurant is really delicious, you know. I tried to explain our family's connection to the restaurant, but Jasmine interrupted me. I work in the city, you know, and the places I usually go to for private dining or entertaining guests are those trendy ones featured in magazines. And doubt there are any stylish places like that in the countryside. This place is so impoverished. Well, I guess that's what you get when you're living on a pension, Susan. Jasmine, how can you say such things? Please don't speak ill of this restaurant. I replied. I didn't mind her belittling me for living on a pension, but Jasmine was now insulting our family's cherished restaurant. Various thoughts I had been holding back swirled in my heart. Today, I had had enough. It was time to stand up to Jasmine. As my anger reached its peak, I took a deep breath, ready to respond. When we get home, Jasmine, a voice interrupted. It wasn't mine. It was Louis. After greeting Chef Brown, Louis had returned and stood at the entrance of the private room. His eyes had a coldness as his parent had never seen before. I will absolutely not tolerate anyone speaking ill of this restaurant. His eyes said, Jasmine, this restaurant you see was started by my dad and mom. Jasmine must have never seen Louis so angry before. She couldn't continue her usual haughty behavior. My father was a chef. He and my mom started this restaurant together and put their hearts into it. It's a precious place for us, filled with cherished memories. And you call it impoverished. Indeed, this restaurant was started by John and me, just as Louis said. John was a skilled chef, and his cooking attracted locals who kept the restaurant always full. It wasn't a place with constant lines, but people from afar would come having heard about it. When the restaurant became busier, Chef Brown, now in charge of the kitchen, was John's right-hand man. Well, I didn't know that. You don't need to be so angry, Louis, Jasmine retorted, her face strained. Whether you knew it or not, there are things that are okay to say and things that are not. Louis's anger hadn't subsided yet. Today's Louis was different from usual. As I watched a bewildered Jasmine, I remembered the days when Louis was still in elementary school. He used to stop by the restaurant after school and often helped us out. He washed dishes with his small hands and cut vegetables next to John. Even after marrying Jasmine, it was always Louis who helped me out. This was my chance. I decided to fight back. Jasmine, you know I'm still the owner of this restaurant. I had planned to hand it over entirely to Chef Brown after John passed away, but Chef Brown, who was greatly indebted to John, insisted on looking after the restaurant until I turned 70. I still help out at the restaurant sometimes, and it provides enough income for me to live on my own. So I've arranged to start receiving my pension at 70. You keep belittling me for living on a pension, but guess what? I'm not even on a pension yet. Sorry to disappoint. Maybe I should add one more thing, Jasmine. Don't know what kind of lavish lifestyle you dream of with all your hard work, but I'm perfectly content with my life as it is, suited to my means. Thought you were living on a pension, Jasmine said, her tone uncertain. As you can see, I'll start receiving my pension when I turn 70. I still have money left by John that I haven't touched. I have no reason to be belittled by someone like you. Yes. I'm sorry, Jasmine stammered, looking down, diminished. Perhaps she hadn't expected such a retort from the always gentle Louis and me. Maybe John lent us his strength from beyond. Mom's right, Louis murmured softly. I looked at Louis, who was rummaging through his bag. He took out a bundle of envelopes and postcards and placed them in front of Jasmine. What is this? Jasmine asked as she took the bundle and checked its contents. Her face turned pale. No matter how hard you work outside, if you shop without restraint, you can't keep up with the payments, right? Wait, what? I didn't know these had arrived. I don't know anything about this, Jasmine protested. You're never home because of overtime and business trips. No time to check the mailbox. Louis replied, What's this all about? I asked, eyeing the bundle of mail Jasmine was holding. To my surprise, It was a stack of dunning letters from credit card companies. And another thing, Lewis continued, half of these reminders are for purchases at men's stores. I've never known you to shop there, and I doubt you're wearing men's clothing. What's going on? No, that's not it. Jasmine protested. Lewis, don't say such awful things. I can explain. I decided not to hold back any longer. Jasmine, explain this. I demanded firmly. It was for a present. I bought it for someone I owe a lot to at work. I was in a hurry, so I used my card. Jasmine stammered, her face reddening and her makeup starting to melt. For someone you owe a lot to, Louis repeated, pulling out another, larger envelope from his bag and thrusting it at Jasmine. What now? Jasmine hesitantly opened the envelope, her face turning pale. Inside were photos of her walking arm in arm with a flashy young man, entering an apartment building with him. The most damning evidence was left unspoken. What is this? You investigated me? Jasmine exclaimed, her voice sharp. With all those stunning letters, I had to look into it, Louis replied, resigned yet composed. What's wrong with taking a little break? I'm stressed from work, Louis. You're older and too calm. You don't provide any excitement. To me, you're just a house husband. I need some excitement outside or I can't stand it. Jasmine blurted out, now red-faced. Stop it right now, I shouted, my anger finally exploding. Jasmine, listen to me. How dare you treat Louis like a housewife when you're not supporting him? You said you wanted to be a self-reliant and free couple. How is overspending and infidelity being self-reliant and free? I don't want to see your face anymore. Get out of this restaurant right now. Susan, you don't need to get so angry. Louis interjected. Quiet, just get out. I insisted. Startled by the fury Louis and I had shown, Jasmine fled the restaurant. Chef Brown, who had been observing the scene, approached us. Is everything settled? Chef Brown asked. I'm sorry for causing a scene, Louis said. It seems I had to confront Jasmine. I explained the situation to you earlier. It's okay, Louis. Susan, the food is ready, so I'll bring it over. Just the family now. Please take your time, Chef Brown reassured us. Thank you. We appreciated his understanding. Louis and I regained our composure and enjoyed the meal, reminiscing about past times. Chef Brown had faithfully continued John's flavors, bringing back fond memories. Afterwards, Louis stayed at my house while proceeding with the divorce. He left everything to a lawyer and moved his belongings out while Jasmine was at work. According to acquaintances, Jasmine continued to spend lavishly on men even after the divorce. Her mailbox remained full of dunning letters, and her workplace started receiving calls about her overdue payments. Eventually, her workplace found out about the affair and divorce, leading to daily criticism at her job. Despite the discomfort, she couldn't afford to quit as she had to pay damages to Louis. Short on funds, she was swiftly abandoned by her boyfriend, left only with debts and broken pride. With Jasmine gone, peace returned to my life. Louis's sister, Teresa, was returning home temporarily from her overseas assignment. Louis planned to coincide his return with her visit. I'm home. It's been a while. Teresa greeted us. I'm so tired from the long journey. We looked at her in surprise. What's up with you, Mom and Big Brother? Oh, right, I need to greet Dad first, she said, heading towards John's photo. That evening, for the first time in a while, Louis, Teresa, and I gathered around the dinner table and had a wonderful time. Despite her fatigue, Teresa helped with cleaning up. You seem to be doing well. I accidentally voiced my inner thoughts aloud. Teresa gave me a puzzled look. What are you talking about? When I looked back, Louis had a slightly embarrassed smile on his face. I realized I might never see my grandchildren, but I felt fortunate to have such kind children. I knew John in heaven was at peace, And until the day I joined him, I vowed to live a life that suited me and enjoy my solitude. That was the promise I made to myself.